Hey, what's up everyone? Jason Turley here, back with more videos. Today I want to go over this task from this firmware reverse engineering workshop from Mproof that I've kind of been working through. This task specifically deals with bypassing a license key check, and there's two ways you can do this, and you can read through this README here. It says first use the strings command to see if there's anything interesting there inside the binary, and then at the very end it's like, hey, use Ghidra or Binary Ninja to actually patch the target binary and essentially remove that license key check. So no matter what you enter, you essentially win. So let's actually run this function. It's simply called license key. It prompts us to enter our license key. Let's do please sub. And it says invalid key, access denied. So license keys are a real world thing, usually for software that you purchase, for example, Microsoft Windows or maybe a video game, just to verify that you are the owner of the software and it's not being like illegally distributed or sold, right? IDA Pro, for example, has a license key that you need in order to use it. So the binary asked us to run strings on it, but let's first figure out what are we even working with. And you can do that with the file command. And here it says this is a 64-bit ELF executable. And this is a little bit different. It's ARM architecture. On this channel, we typically do x86 and x64, which are very different assembly languages than ARM. So some of those instructions that we're used to might not necessarily exist in this ARM architecture, where ARM is RISC, reduced instruction set computer, whereas x86, x64 on Intel are the CISC, complicated instruction set computer. Just a little bit of trivia there, I guess. We see it is dynamically linked and it is stripped, so it won't necessarily have nice debugging symbols. So we can run strings just like this in our command line, and we can pipe this into less just because it will be a lot of output on the screen all at once. Make sure that's large enough for everyone in the back to see. We can see the loader that was used. We can see some functions that look pretty familiar, like putString and scanf to actually read in user input. A call to string compare. So the license key must be checked. Whatever we enter must be checked against some valid license key, and they're likely using the string compare function there. We can see the version of libc that was used. And if we continue to scroll down, we see this statement. Access granted, the premium feature is now unlocked. Enter your license key. That's the prompt from earlier. We see a format string here. Here's the condition that gets printed when we enter something wrong. Invalid license key, access denied. And then right under that, we see something that looks to be a license key, that kind of format, ABC123 XYZ 789. And then just for fun, we can see the version of the GNU C compiler, GCC, that was used. So I'm curious if we just grab this right here, copy it, and then go to paste it inside of this prompt here. And there we go. We won. We were able to solve that challenge, but let's actually see if we can do this where we can patch the binary. So no matter what we input, it prints out this first statement here. Access granted. And the workshop recommended using Ghidra or Binary Ninja, but we're going to use IDA Pro. Use whatever tool you are comfortable with. So this is a stripped binary. Let me zoom in, make sure this is large enough to see. It can be a little bit weird. It puts us inside of this start function, not necessarily the main function, because it's not able to identify that. We see here a little comment that says main, so maybe this is, and we see libc start main right here. And as we know, libc start main does call main. If I hover over this, we can kind of see the arguments. The first argument, I believe, is the pointer or the address to the main function. So maybe if I double click on one of these, this will take us to main. Not exactly, not really sure what this is, but here we see sub 958. Let's just click that. Okay, this looks very similar to what a main function would look like, right? Because when we kind of just skim this code, we see this comment here saying enter your license key. We see the string, and then we see a call to printf, and then a call to scanf. So that makes sense. That tracks, right? Because when we run this program, the first thing that happens is a prompt that says enter your license key, and then it waits for user input. So that makes sense, right? We see this call to printf, and then it's waiting for our user input. And then we see two branch statements here. This one on the right, invalid license key. So this is like the failed path. And then this one down here calls this function. But before either of that, after we enter our user input, it will call sub_934. And since this is a stripped binary, it doesn't have those useful symbol names. So we don't know what this is. It's just some generic function. We see this opcode, this instruction BL. This stands for branch and link. If you're used to x86 and x64, this will be a call instruction. So you're calling a function. So we're calling this function here. Let's double click on it. And looking at the comments and the strings, we see that license key from earlier and then a call to string compare. So I'm going to assume that this function is checking our user input. So I'm going to rename this to check key, just so it's more useful for us humans, right? The computer doesn't care. The computer will leave that sub_985 or whatever it was. But for us reverse engineers, it is nice to provide that additional context. So let's exit out of this function. So this is what we're assuming is the check key function. If it is wrong, it'll go down this branch, right, and print invalid license key. However, if it's correct, it'll go call this function. So let's double click on sub_918 to see what that is. And we see it simply prints out access granted. So let's rename this function as well. We'll just call this win. Hit OK. So that looks pretty neat. And then down here, we can see like a stack cookie, perhaps. We see a stack check guard page or guard pointer. So if we do have some type of buffer overflow, there is a canary that will prevent us from getting return address corruption, essentially. So we can solve this by just throwing in that license key that we found in this check key function, right? However, what if this function didn't have a hard-coded license key? What if instead the check key function called out to some authentication server and it made sure whatever license key you check matches up what's on that remote server, right? It's not hard-coded in the binary necessarily. So something we can do is patch out this comparison instruction, right? We have this compare, I believe, below 0 or compare and branch if 0, where if these two things are equal, it will call the win function. However, what if we just get rid of this? What if we just patch this out completely? So you can do this in IDA by clicking on Edit and then scrolling down to Patch Program and then Change Byte. And we'll see the literal bytes, the opcode that this instruction is using. Now, we don't want to change all of this. In order to figure out what bytes we need to change, we need to look up what the CBZ function is, what the opcodes are. And because I am Gen Z, I just asked AI, I just asked ChatGPT. The prompt I gave it was simply, I am doing an ARM CTF challenge where I need to enter the correct license key to win. I want to patch this instruction, CBZ, with either an absolute jump or a no operation, so the code always executes the win function. What values do I need to patch? And it goes down and explains what this function is, compare and branch if 0. And then if we continue to scroll down a little bit, it says, hey, here's an example of what opcodes you should look for, B40034. So if we come back to our IDA function, we do see a 34 in the same spot, right? In that fourth spot. So that leads us to believe that these 4 hex values are the compare and branch if 0 instruction. So we want to change those with the opcode, the hex values for NOP, no operation, do nothing. And it tells us here the actual machine code for that is 1F2003D5. So we can simply copy this and replace it here. Hit OK. And we see the code has changed completely. It will call the check key function. And then underneath it, it will do nothing. And then it will immediately call win. So let's go back to Edit, Patch Program, And then you have to do this. You have to click on apply patch to input. I know that's super tiny, but apply patches to input file. If you want, you can optionally create a backup. Let's hit OK. Let's close out of IDA and go back to our terminal. If I do a ls, we see now that we have our license key, that file binary that's patched, as well as a original backup, right? So let's run this license key program and we can enter whatever we want. Let's just say thanks for watching, because I really am appreciative of everyone who watches these videos. And even though that is the wrong license key, it still prints out access granted. The premium feature is now unlocked. So that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully that was useful. Hopefully that was entertaining. You just learned how to patch a binary using IDA. This was a very simple, right? Trivialized, stripped down CTF challenge, workshop challenge. But however, these things do come into play in real world reverse engineering. Like, hey, I don't have an actual license key. I don't have the thing I need, but I can change around some bytes in assembly code, and we can essentially trick the program to still going down the execution path that we want. How cool is that? As always, guys, like, comment, and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. More to follow. As always, take it easy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.